Okay, here we are. This time I'm going to show you how to make a delectable dessert, a pie. It's going to be an apricot pie since it's apricot seasons and we just happen to have an abundance of apricots falling off our tree. So we're going to throw them in a pie. So Kim's going to show you how to make the crust and I'm going to show you how to make the filling. And we're going to throw it all together and
eat pie.
Eat pie.
Okay, so crust is so easy to make. You can use any nut. Usually dates are added to the nuts, and you can add spices or different dried fruits or whatever you want. So we're just going to use almonds, dates, and coconut. Basically they're just all going to go in the food processor, and you're going to blend them until it's a nice kind of fine, sticky, gooey mess. Okay, so it's all done. You can tell it's kind of holding itself together, and you're just going to press it in your pie pan. Okay, so we're just pressing it up along the sides and on the bottom, and that's really all that making a crust entails. And Mark will be making the filling go inside.
Okay, for the filling, I got my apricots that are quartered and seeded, of course. And what I'm going to do is just use a plastic bag to kind of meld everything together. And in that plastic bag, I'm going to add my, my raisins that have been soaked. 50 minutes or so. We've actually had these soaking for a day. And the syrupy water that came from out of the rinse water that I've drained, we're going to save that and use it for another sweet delight. So I'm just going to throw the raisins in there, throw about a tablespoon of cinnamon. So this pie recipe works for, basically any fruit you want to do it. Use it for. Cinnamon is always good in most of those fruits, and a little bit of salt doesn't hurt. Optional, of course. And a little squeeze of lemon. That just helps to add a little fresh flavor and preserve the fruit a little bit. Compost that guy. Then I'm just going to seal it up. And we're just going to, like I said, let the flavors meld a little bit, get the fruit a little more squishy. If you're doing apples, this is a good way to soften those up because they're a little hard. You just slice them up real thin and get them in there and squish them a little harder than I'm doing now. But again, you can do berries in here. Persimmons would make a really good pie. You'd want to use the really ripe chia persimmons. Of course, I guess you could slice the Fuya persimmon real thin and use like an apple too. Okay, so that's all mixed and melded real well. And here's the pie crust that Kim prepared. And all we're going to do is pour it in there. So again, I may not have said all the specific ingredients amounts, but the recipe is in our book. And spread that around. Raisins on top. Presentation is everything, so you gotta make it look good. Well, that's half of it anyway, they say. Okay, so now when we get that done, you could actually eat it right now if you wanted, but we're gonna put it in the refrigerator for a while and let it set up. You could actually throw it in the freezer too if you want, if you like the little colder texture. But we're gonna throw it in the fridge for a little while, and we're actually going to show you how to make some ice cream, which is our version of ice cream, and we're going to put that on the top. If you wanted the pie a little sweeter, especially if you're using tart fruits like apricot and apples, You could put a little agave or a little raw honey on the top if you wanted to and let it sit up that way. But we're going to throw this in the fridge, like I said, and we'll be back later with some, make some ice cream and throw it on the top and show you how good that's going to look.
So we ended up with a little extra crust here. So this was our, just almond, date, coconut mixture, and it's just delicious just like this. So I'm going to make some little candy balls out of it. So you can just take, a tablespoon or so of it, roll it in a ball, and you can roll it in whatever you like to give it a nice coating. Coconut, carob. I've got raw cacao here. You could do a cinnamon something or whatever you like. But real easy, tasty, and little sweet, easy snack to have around. So there you go.
Okay, back as promised to show you how to make some ice cream to go with our apricot pie that we made earlier. To start with, you just need a food processor. You can actually do it if you have a Vitamix or something like that. If you're not going to make too much, that'll actually make ice cream just fine also. Now you're going to start with some frozen bananas. So it's bananas you're going to peel, of course, and throw it in the freezer. And then just take them out when you're going to use them. Break them up in some little chunks. They usually break up pretty easily. A food processor, you can do, I've done 5, 6, 7 bananas at a time. We're just going to do a couple here. And then we have our almond milk that we made earlier too. And our almond milk doesn't have any sweetener in it, and it works fine because the bananas are pretty sweet. But if you have sweetened your almond milk, it also tastes probably better if you like it sweet. So I'm going to start with a little bit of almond milk in there, and I'm just going to process. And sometimes the chunks like to stay kind of frozen together, so you just got to break it up with a spatula in there and add a little more milk as needed. But really what you want to do is get it so it processes with as little milk as possible. That way it's stays in a more firm ice cream instead of getting soupy on you real quick. Okay, I'm going to stop it there. Normally I'd make it a little more creamy, but even with the chunks, it's kind of good to make ice cream out of. Now, if you've had the typical banana, just plain banana ice cream, it's okay, it's pretty good. But when you add the almond milk in there, it really takes away some of that harsh or hardcore banana flavoring and just evens it out, because our almond milk has a little vanilla in it too. So it tastes kind of vanilla-y, but it's really good ice cream. Now I'm just here's our apricot pie. You can see that it's set up pretty nicely. It was only in the fridge for a couple hours, and so I cut into that, and I'm just going to put a little scoop of ice cream on the side, and you have a very fancy, delicious treat. So I'm going to give it a try here and let you know how it is. Yeah, it's terrible. Don't make any of this stuff. It's terrible. Now, of course it's good. It's all healthy junk. So prepare and feel good about making something that's not only satisfying even for your sweet tooth, but that's going to be good for you. Enjoy.